Hi, everyone. My name is Lauren Morris. I am Cobb EMC's Member Engagement Coordinator. I just want to thank all of you for joining us today for our safety webinar. We have a really great program planned for you all with some really fantastic Cobb EMC employees that are going to be speaking to you today, and just go over a few good news items that we have from Cobb EMC. So the first one is that we are #1 for lowest rates in Georgia among all electric utilities, and that is for the third year in the row. And we are also #1 nationally for restoring outages quickly. So those are just two things that we are very proud to be able to share with you all today. We're going to be going over a lot of safety today, so I also have my own quick safety message I'd like to share. As you all know, in Georgia, though we have been having a lot of rain lately, it also does get incredibly hot, especially in the summer months. So we just want to make sure that you're staying aware when you are out there in the heat. We just want to make sure you're staying informed, so always check your local news for any heat alerts, especially if you plan on spending a long period of time outside. Staying cool. If you don't have access to air conditioning in your home, we always recommend make a day of it. Go to the mall, go to the public library, just anywhere where you can kind of stay cool during those temperatures. Stay hydrated, always drink fluids, regardless of how active you're going to be that day. And then dress appropriately, always wear something lightweight, light colored, and loose fitting. And we do have a lot of other safety tips that can be found on our website at cobbemc.com/safety. So the next thing I would like to show you all is that we do have a video from Tico Jones and Watson, and they are going to be going over electric safety.
Hello everyone, my name is Tico Jones and I'm in the Education and Community Relations Department at Cobb EMC. And this is Watson's Electric Avenue. And right beside me, I have my friend Watson. He's our safety ambassador here at Cobb EMC. This is a safety presentation that teaches the dangers of electricity. And I want everyone to be as safe as possible around the electricity. So before we get started, I want to provide you a couple of definitions about electricity. With electricity being so dangerous, we must respect it. So the first one is going to be electrocution. Electrocution is the death by electric shock. So we want to make sure that we eliminate that situation or that term in our lives because electrocution is very dangerous. The second is going to be voltage. Voltage is the pressure that pushes electricity down the power lines. Then the third definition is energized. That means that there is power flowing through, whether it be the power lines, your meter, but it is providing electricity to and from your home. So now that we have those definitions, I want to also speak a little bit on my safety attire. Watson also has a safety attire. The first safety attire is our gloves. I have a rubber pair and a leather pair. And what that is that protects me from electricity. So it allows me to prevent from being shocked or electrocuted. My second is my eyewear, my glasses. Electricity tends to arc, and if it arcs, it will allow me to protect my eyes from the arc. My third is my fire-resistant shirt that provides me the protection from any fire or arc. And then last but not least, I have my hot stick, and what this does is it allows me to maneuver around Electric Avenue so that I am safe. Before I get started, Watson, I want to thank you, and I will need your help in a couple of moments, so I'll call you back. Don't go anywhere. Thank you, sir. In this presentation, I'm going to demonstrate electricity and how it flows through our neighborhoods. So we're going to start off right now just realizing that electricity is invisible, so you cannot tell where the electricity is. But just because you cannot see the electricity does not mean it's not there. So how are we going to be able to tell that the electricity is flowing through and that the power lines are energized? If you take a look here at this house, you have a light that every time the light comes and flashes red, that means that the electricity is flowing down through the power lines. So now in this demonstration, what we're going to talk about is flying a kite. Susie really wanted to learn how to fly a kite, and I know when I was younger, I used to love to fly kites, so Miss Smith is gonna teach Susie how to fly a kite. The one thing that Miss Smith did not pay attention to is how close she was flying her kite to the power lines. And we do know that electricity wants to get to the ground, and it wants to take the path of least resistance to get to the ground. So as Miss Smith becomes closer to the power lines, the electricity has a chance to arc, and now Miss Smith has been zapped. And with the electricity passing through Miss Smith's body, you see that the electricity will pass through her body to the ground, which, like I stated before, the electricity wants to take that path of least resistance to the ground. So here we have Susie. She is walking through her neighborhood, and she sees one of the green transformers open. The transformers are designed to step electricity up or down into your homes. So you have the electricity flowing from 7,200 volts of electricity to the transformers, which this is an underground transformer, and the transformer steps the electricity down to 120 volts to your home. So with Susie seeing and noticing that this transformer is open, she's a little curious, and then she becomes too close and comes into contact with the transformer, and she gets zapped. So with her getting zapped, this is a reminder that you don't want to sit on, you don't want to stand on or play around them. I know when I was younger, our transformer used to be right at the bus stop, and everybody used to sit on it on cold days. So now that I know what I know about the transformers, I would advise you, please do not sit on them, touch them, or play around them. All righty, so we have Bobby here, and he was playing kickball, and like myself back in my younger days, I was the king of kickball. He's kicked the ball into a substation, and with the gate being open, Bobby wants to go in and retrieve his ball. Unfortunately, Bobby comes too close to the transformer, and he is zapped trying to get his ball. So in that scenario, if you ever see a substation when you're passing by, if there is a gate that is open, please do not enter the gate. It is very dangerous. It will also be marked danger high voltage on the fences that are around them. So please be safe and do not enter any of the substations. Okay, so Susie was in a bus accident leaving school, and the bus actually knocked down a power pole. Power line has now fallen on the bus during the accident. So the scenario is, what do we do? How do we stay safe? Rule number one is, as long as there's no fire damage or anything like that, you remain on the bus until your help or first responders comes to assist. If there is a danger of a fire or smoke or something, then you need to get off the bus. So in this scenario, Bobby sees the accident, so he wants to come help his friend Susie, and unfortunately, remember, electricity once again wants to get to the ground, and Bobby gets zapped due to standing on the ground, while Susie's safe because she's on the bus, and the bus actually rolls on rubber tires, so the rubber is keeping her safe. So in a scenario, if you're ever involved in an accident, please stay in your vehicle unless there is a danger. If there is a danger and there is a power line that has fallen on your vehicle, then what you would need to do is to make sure that you get out the vehicle as safe as possible. So what's gonna take place is I'm gonna call my friend Watson back over, and what Susie's gonna do is once she gets to the final step on the bus, she's gonna cross her arms, she's gonna put her feet together, and then she's going to bunny hop off of the bus. And we ask that she bunny hops at least 50 feet away from the bus, so that provides enough distance between the electricity and Susie herself so that she is safe. Once she gets from outside 50 feet, she's safe, and then she can run and seek assistance if she is injured. So Watson, I want to once again thank you for joining us today and helping present Watson's Electric Avenue. And we've taught you a little bit about the safeties and dangers of our neighborhoods. So once again, we want you to be mindful and take care. Thank you once again, Watson. Thank you for watching, and you all have a great day. Be safe.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let's take a minute to introduce myself. My name is Ken Brumelo. I'm the Director of Operations here at Cobb EMC. I've been here for 34 years. I started out in the field, and I'm going to get started, and we're going to go over a few tips to help you and your family to stay safe during a storm and anytime there's any outages. First thing is, how do we prepare for a storm? We really need to build a kit. Stock water, non-perishable foods, gather flashlights, batteries, first aid supplies, keep all your important documents safe, waterproof, charge any portable power banks or cell phones or anything like that you may need. Make a plan. Establish family communication plan. You may have other family that lives in the area, depending on how widespread the storm is. You want to stay in touch with them and in case they need any help after the fact. Know your evacuation routes. Plan for pets and special needs, including medical equipment that needs power. This one's really important. We have in case you have a loved one or a family member that is on oxygen or something like that, you really need to be prepared for this situation because sometimes, depending on how widespread the storm can be, you may be out of power for a long time, and there may be no way to avoid that. So in a situation like that, always be prepared if you know a storm is coming. Identify your safe room away from windows and exterior walls, especially if you have a lot of large trees in your yard. The interior walls really will help you stay safe in case some fall on your house. And you want to identify that before the storm where you know where to get to shelter from the storm. Secure your home. You want to trim any trees or loose branches regularly, keep them away from your house. It'll help prevent damage. Were to have any shutters or anything like that, you could close before a storm. A lot of houses don't have them now, but if you do, it wouldn't hurt to close those. Have surge protectors installed. Never hurts to have some kind of surge protector due to over voltage from lightning. Clear your gutters and drains. Review your insurance coverage. You always want to be sure your insurance coverage is up to date in case your home does get destroyed. So that way you and your family have somewhere to go after the fact. Stay safe indoors. During the storm, you really want to stay out of it. Move to an interior room away from any windows. Avoid using candles to prevent fire risk. Stay away from down power lines. This is extremely important. Do not drive through flooded roads. And during the storm, if there's no reason to be out, try to stay at home. This helps with all of your first responders, power line crews, everybody out there trying to clean up after the fact. And not having traffic out there is really beneficial to us. During that storm, you also want to monitor and respond. Track weather alerts on a battery-powered radio. Follow evacuation orders immediately. If you know a storm's coming your way and you have family somewhere else or another place you can go and stay till it's gone, that's always a good idea. This keeps you totally away from it. Check on neighbors and vulnerable family. Some people may not have a good plan, may not have a good place to get. Keep your phones charged for emergencies. Always keep in mind too, also though, if your phone does die during a storm and when you don't have any power, you can always go out, crank your car up, charge it in your car. Be sure you take your car out of your garage. You don't want it sitting in there running. But as much as we all stay on our phones now, it's already bad when you're out of power. But if your phone's dead on top of that, that makes for a long day. How do you handle power outages? First thing you want to do is report outages to Cobb EMC right away. All you have to do is text out to 898-362. You also would want to unplug any appliances to prevent surge damage if your lights are flickering or you can tell something's not right. If you unplug all your appliances, it can prevent them from getting burned up. Use your generators outdoors only, never inside. One thing about generators is if you're going to use one a lot, you're probably better off to have a Generac or something along those lines installed. They're just way more convenient, way safer to deal with, and they have an automatic transfer switch, so you don't really have to do anything when the lights go out. That's the best way to go. Keep refrigerator and freezer doors closed. If you'll keep these closed, Your food that's in there will last a long time. Worst thing you can do is go check it every 5 minutes and see how it's doing. So if you'll keep it closed, the odds of your food going bad goes way down. What to do after the storm? First thing you want to do is assess the damage. Check your property for visible damage. Photograph any damage for insurance claims. Watch out for structural hazards before entering your home if you were away and came back to it after a storm. Beware of any gas leaks and exposed wiring. If you have a lot of trees in your yard, be careful while you're out there walking around looking at everything, because a lot of times you'll have a lot of limbs hanging in the trees. They could fall out at any time. Very dangerous. Just try to watch out for that. Restore and recover. Report your outages. I'm going to repeat this, but it's very important. The sooner you get your outage reported to Cobb EMC, quicker the odds are you'll be back on. Text out to 898-362. Avoid any down power lines and standing water. One thing about the down power lines is you can't tell if they're energized or not. So just avoid them no matter what. Standing water, you never know what's in that water because usually it's so murky you can't tell. Stay out of that. Discard any food left without refrigeration too long. If you do open your refrigerator up after the fact and everything's bad, go ahead and clean it out and get rid of all of it. Be real careful out there cleaning up. Use the proper safety gear. Don't do something out of your realm of what you should be doing. It's real easy to decide, hey, I want to get me a chainsaw. I want to go out here and cut these trees down, clean all this up. If you're not experienced at that or haven't been properly trained to do it, you might want to avoid that and get a professional in there to do it. Main thing at that point is if everybody's okay, you came through the storm, the rest can be taken care of. Just don't get nobody hurt out there trying to clean it up. Stay informed. Follow all your local updates for the all clear, so you'll know when the storm is gone. A lot of times, especially if it's a hurricane, you get the front side come through. It'll get real calm. You'll think everything's good, and then here comes the backside of the storm. And you don't want to be out there checking everything out to see how it looks before it's over. Contact your insurance provider promptly. The sooner you can get them out there to take care of things, the better off you'll be. A lot of storms, a lot of roof damage, stuff like that. The longer your roof goes without a tarp on it, then you got water in your home possibly. If it continues to rain, you got ceilings collapsing, stuff like that. So the sooner you can get them out there, the better off you're going to be. Restock your emergency kit, your supplies. Make sure you after the fact, because you don't never know when another storm may be right around the corner. If you wait too long and you got something going on before the next storm, you may forget about it and not have what you need for the next one. Share recovery sources with your neighbors. It's always good to get out there and help others. And if you may have the ability to do things that they may not. You got people, a lot of times you get trees across their driveways. People can't go to work, get out and do anything. So if you have the ability to help those other people, they sure will appreciate it. Here's some more about the portable generator safety. Placement and ventilation. Always run generators outdoors, never inside. Keep them at least 20 feet away from windows and doors due to the carbon monoxide they put off. Never use in a garage, even with the doors open. A lot of people think, well, I'll put it in here, especially if it's an ice storm, where that way I don't got to go out in the snow to refuel it and all that stuff. Very dangerous. A lot of fires get started this way. And if it's inside your garage and you get it going, then you're really going to be in a bind. Install carbon monoxide detectors in your home. It's always a good idea, especially if you got a generator, even if it's a Generac or something that's permanent, it's right beside your house. So it's a good idea to be able to monitor that environment. How to fuel and operate it. Turn off and cool down before refueling. Store fuel in approved containers away from the heat. Do not overload beyond the rated wattage. You get a generator out there, you're trying to run a refrigerator and a couple of other things, and then you're thinking, well, maybe I can run my TV, maybe I can run this. Just be sure you don't overload it, because then you won't be running anything. Keep the generator dry and on a level surface. Electrical safety. Never plug a generator into a wall outlet. This one's really important to us out here that work in the field due to backfeed. Because if you don't pull your meter, which you'd have to have the power company do that, or at least open your main breakers, you can backfeed high voltage back out onto the lines while people are out there trying to work on them. There's people killed every year from this situation. It's very dangerous. So if you're going to plug up your refrigerator, run your cord in there to your refrigerator straight from your generator. It's way safer. But like I said earlier, if you're going to use a generator a lot, it's just really safer and easier to get a Generac or something with an auto transfer switch. And that way you don't have to fool with it. It takes care of itself, especially if you have natural gas. When you're using a portable generator, use a heavy duty, outdoor rated extension cord. You don't want some small cord and then it catch on fire because it's overloaded. Have an electrician install a transfer switch. Very important. It protects all the line workers and people working in the field, cutting trees and doing all the work to get everybody's power back on. Try to keep your generator connections dry at all times, just to avoid it shorting out. All right. Now we'll go over when to call Cobb EMC versus an electrician. For calling Cobb EMC, anytime there's complete power outage in your home or in your area, by all means, give us a call. Anytime you see down power lines on or near your property or anywhere for that matter. Flickering lights continuous. After you've checked your breakers, if your lights are continuing to flicker, you really need to give us a call. It could be a broken neutral on your service. It could be anything. And if your neutral gets broken like that, it could cause the things in your house to burn up. So if your lights are flickering and you know that something's just not right, by all means, give us a call. Anytime there's damage to your electric meter or your service entrance cable, your service coming to your house, give us a call. We're going to come out there. We really are here to serve our members and make sure that they have good service, and that's what we expect during a storm. We're going to get a ton of calls, and we know that. Anytime you see a tree falling on the power line, whether it's during a storm or a blue sky day, by all means, call and let us know. Sometimes a tree could be on the line and we don't even know it. So we'll get a crew out there and get it taken care of. Anytime you have street light outages in your neighborhood, give us a call. We get a lot of that in the spring and in the fall when people's out walking a lot. So give us a call if you have any of those issues. When to call an electrician. If you're getting frequent trips on your breakers in your house, and you might want to get an electrician out there to check that out. Usually that's on the electrician's his responsibility. And or if you have any blown fuses. Most of the houses now don't have fuse panels in them. It would probably be a really old house if it did. So mostly just for your trip breakers. Outlets or switches stop working. That's going to be something for an electrician to take care of. So just give them a call, find you a good one. A lot of times if we're already out there, we got one we use a lot. We try to give you a recommendation. But anytime you smell any burning electrical panel parts, wires, anything like that, outlets, get somebody out there to take care of that because it could burn your house down. Or if you want to get a generator transfer switch installed, get you an electrician out there. Anytime you want to upgrade or replace your electrical panel, a lot of times when you're selling or buying a house, get an electrician to come check out the panel and all, make sure everything's good there. Stuff usually lasts a very long time, but as just one loose connection can cause you a major problem and make the problem way worse the longer you put off getting it checked out. Here's just a basic little diagram of an overhead service, and it just gives you tells you what belongs to you and what belongs to us. The thing is, yes, the meter base is yours, but if you have to change the meter base out and you need us to come kill the power to do it, give us a call. We do schedule disconnects daily for people to make repairs on their weatherheads, mass pipes, meter bases. And it's not a big ordeal to get it done. A lot of your electricians will come out there and say, well, I can do this with the service still hot. I wouldn't let them do it. I would say, I understand you feel like you can do that, but Cobb EMC will come up here and do a disconnect and a reconnect for free. So just give us a call and we'll come do it. Okay, here's some storm resources. Outage and Storm Center. Access storm resources, including links to the reporting power outage, enroll in outage notifications. Information about outages caused the most, updated information regarding power restoration during a storm. cobbemc.com/outage. All these notifications just really is going to make it handy for you to know when we're going to hopefully be out there and get your power back on. We'll give you an ETR of when we think we'll have it back on. And that way, if you say you haven't ate dinner, you know now, well, hey, power's going to be out for 3 or 4 more hours. We might ought to go somewhere and eat. That's keep everybody a little happier. It's bad enough to be out of power, but if you're out of power and you hadn't ate dinner, that makes it even worse. You can always get on our outage map to find the current outages, the cause of the outages, estimated restoration times, current weather, updates from Cobb EMC, and more. If we notify you that you're out, and a lot of times you're thinking, well, I'm the only one out. So when you look at this outage map, you can get a good idea of how many outages we have at that time. And so it may help a little bit on knowing when we'll be there too. Outage alerts. Enroll in outage alerts to receive outage notifications right on your phone. Text register to 898-362. Report outages by texting out. Check the status of an outage by texting status. To me, everybody texts now. It's one of the number one ways to communicate. But these resources are there for you to use, and they help us too. I mean, easier, the quicker we find out about these outages, the sooner we know to get out there and get them back up. And that's all I've got. And I'm going to hand it off to Patrick, and he's going to talk to you about outdoor and seasonal safety.
Thank you, Ken. Good evening, everybody. This is Patrick Baldwin, forestry coordinator for Cobb EMC. Talk to you today a little bit about outdoor and seasonal safety. So, when you get out there and the weather gets nice at that time of the year and everybody wants to get out there and do yard work, everybody's so anxious. You want to get out there and get going quick, but you forget you got overhead lines, over your property. And so it's always good to just know where you're working. Assume that all lines are energized, even, when they're on the ground. You don't want to get too close to them, like Ken said. You can't see it, but it's there. So you need to treat every overhead line as it's live, keep a safe distance. That's the number one rule when working, trimming, digging, or using tall equipment near those power lines. You also want to stay clear of service drops and poles. So that'd be, any kind of landscape and stuff like that you're doing, you're going to use ladders and, keeping the gutters clean. Like Ken said, you just be mindful of where you're at. You don't want ladders, close to those lines, or pay attention if any tree limbs or anything like that are getting close. Keep your trailers and tools away from the service lines and the pole areas. Like even your regular yard work, cutting grass and stuff like that can be unsafe when vegetation and stuff like that is close. Always contact 811 before you dig. Even if it's just a simple shovel in here and there, something minor in your landscaping, you may take it lightly and not think that's that big of a deal. I promise it is. It's very important. Georgia 811 was created to help prevent people from coming in contact with the underground utility that you don't see during any small digging project. So you can contact 811 3 business days before you plan to do any work, and provide information about where you plan to dig and what type of work you plan to do. And after you contact 811, a professional will come out and mark underground public utility lines when flags or paint. I know a lot of you see this stuff when I speak with members. A lot of the times they they communicate to me is like, well, these people came out here and flagged this or spray painted this in my yard, and my yard guy came and had to work around it, and it's just so frustrating. Well, if you can, please leave that stuff there because there is planned to be work there, and it could get somebody hurt. Also, just keep in mind this service is free. So on vegetation management side of things, why we trim trees is to keep line clearance, supports reliability and public safety. So with that being said, we come through and trim trees routinely to have fewer preventable outages. Clearing vegetation away from energized lines helps reduce tree branch contact and service interruption risk. So we definitely don't want any tree limbs or anything like that touching, the power lines or your service line for that matter, to keep your power reliable. It also promotes safer access for the crews. You definitely don't want, like for in the middle of the night, for instance, you don't want anybody coming in there having to work on something in the dark and there's a tree or something in contact with the power lines and they can't see it or anything like that. And I mean that's a big hazard. It's very dangerous for our employees. So we like to eliminate that as possible. So routine trimming helps maintain the working space around facilities and supports planned maintenance operations. So we can get in there and do our work safely. Better long-term reliability. That's pretty obvious. Vegetation management is part of keeping the neighborhood safe. I mean, anything in contact with the lines is pretty hazardous. The good benefits of tree trimming. Clearing trees and overgrown vegetation is vital to provide safe, reliable power to our members, and we clear these areas in our service territory known as right-of-ways. In doing so, it keeps the power lines clear of tree limbs, restores power and outages more quickly, keeps crews and members of our community safe, and reduces unexpected costs for repairs. Vegetation management improves service reliability for you, our members. That's our main goal. I pulled this directly from the website. It's pretty self-explanatory, but I'm gonna read it to you guys. So 3 ways you can help: planting trees in the right place. A lot of people, even myself included, don't really think about it when you go to like Home Depot or Lowe's and you go buy this baby tree in a box or in a pot. You don't realize how big it's going to get. So knowing what you're buying and where you're going to plant it is pretty important. So with that being said, trees that will be less than 40 foot tall should be planted at least 25 foot away from the power lines. Any trees that are going to be 40 foot or larger, we would like to see those 50 foot away from the pole. I mean, also, if you're in an underground neighborhood, these little green boxes in your front yard, those are transformers. They hold a lot of power and they supply your house. So you definitely don't want to be planting anything around those. So with that being said, the plants and shrubs, we'd like to keep those 10 feet away from the doors and 3 feet away from the sides. I know it's ugly. It's not really something you want to look at, but it's very safe to keep those things away because we have to get in there and service those and work on those and help keep our employees safe and you guys as well. Lastly, reporting dangerous branches. You see anything touching any line overhead, always report it. It doesn't matter if you're unsure if it's the power line, if you're unsure it's the fiber or telecommunication line. It doesn't matter. Just call us, report it. We'll come look at it. Don't take the risk. So that being said, if you spot trees or branches that are dangerously close, please let us know. Okay, so landscaping. This is just a little bit of a reiteration of the slide before. If you live in a newer neighborhood that has underground power lines, we're planting trees or shrubs, maintain 10 feet away from the front door of that underground transformer, and 3 feet on either side. That allows us to get in there and maintenance those things and not have to cut your pretty bushes that you've planted in order to get in there and do it safely. If you're planning any projects, remember to leave enough room between the new thing that you plan to plant versus the overhead power lines. Again, just kind of be mindful of what you're buying and how big it's going to be at its mature state. Never plant trees directly under the power lines. Short trees, again, should be 25 feet away from the power lines, while the medium-sized to larger trees should be planted 40 feet. If your yard has tree branches growing into the lines, please don't attempt to do it yourself. That is a service we provide for free, won't cost you anything, and would be glad to help. And don't plant anything around the poles. You wouldn't think it, but I mean, we have to get in there and do things around the pole and inspect it and do some routine maintenance and stuff like that on those poles. And it, again, just like the transformer, if you're planting stuff around it, preventing us from being able to maintenance those, we're probably going to cut it so we can get in there and do things safely. Okay, so this slide is about who is responsible. Just kind of want to clear, in case anybody has any questions of what we do, what versus what we expect our members to do. For Cobb EMC, the routine trimming near the power lines, so that's our 30-foot right of way, vegetational work in electric right of way, and clearance work that supports reliable electrical service. So pretty much anything that's impeding that 30-foot right of way, we will maintain that, no problem. For the member, any trees that are outside of that 30-foot right of way, that's going to be up to you guys. Any kind of landscape choices that you wish to plant in your yard, completely up to you. And then dead tree removal and storm debris. For the dead trees, we will cut those down for you free of charge. But as far as removing the debris of that dead tree from your property, that is up to the member. And then storm debris, a tree falls in the middle of the night and it falls on our line, we cut it off and get power back on to you guys as soon as possible. Unfortunately, that does not make it our tree. That's still going to be up to you guys to clean that up. What determines whether a tree is trimmed or removed? Trees and limbs are the leading cause of outages. Branches that touch lines and become energized, so keeping vegetation clear is essential for safety and reliability. We consider removing trees within 15 foot of the primary wire and trim 15 foot on either side of the pole center line. That's where we get our 30 foot. It'll be 15 foot on either side of the pole. Service line, which is the one that runs to your house, we may remove trees on the service line if they threaten the line, or if they're dead or weakened, or if the trunk is rubbing on the wire. So any kind of tension, any kind of limb pushing on the wire that runs to your house or anything like that that's putting any kind of tension on it, we would be more than happy to take care of that for you. All you got to do is just call it in to us, and we'll get out there as soon as possible to take care of that for you. So maintaining our right-of-way, how we trim, we use a directional pruning to industry standards, shaping growth away from the lines while preserving the tree's natural form. I know going down the road and you see trees that are all one-sided away from the power lines. I know it's not very natural, but it's a standard. It's as natural as we can make it to keep everything safe and keep our right-of-ways clear. When a full tree is to be removed, we may remove it if they lean towards the lines or have structural defects that increase fall risk. Due to a visual inspection, if we determine that the tree is at a great risk of falling or showing signs of uprooting or any kind of disease or things like that, we will go ahead and mark that tree good to be removed. Ways you could help after if you want to meet up with somebody or call somebody out and we discuss any kind of tree removal or anything. If we can't get on the same schedule and meet in person, if you feel free to mark the trees that you're wishing to talk about or get removed. And then after we agree or whatever we're going to do, if the tree is going to be removed for you, if you have any yard ornaments or anything decorative, just please move that stuff out of the way. We don't want any damages to your property. So if you wish to take on some of these tasks yourself, there's definitely some safety standards here that you can keep in mind. Stay at least 10 feet from any power line, and keep ladders, pole saws, and other tools outside of that 10-foot zone. Never trim a branch that touches or hangs near the power lines yourself. That goes back to always assuming everything is energized. Limbs in contact with power lines can become energized. Contact Cobb EMC first at 770-429-2100. Don't count on wooden ladders or insulated tools for protection. Both can still conduct electricity near energized lines. If you're unsure that your tool is insulated or not, or non-conductive or not, don't guess it. Just call us. Only trim small limbs that are clear of the lines using non-conductive fiberglass pole pruners and sharp shears, and wear safety glasses and gloves. Again, if you're not sure if it's non-conductive, don't just assume, because that's a hazard you don't want to see. Remove large branches and smaller sections so they fall under control and keep children from climbing in the trees near the power lines. That's a pretty big deal. You definitely don't want any children climbing in trees that are in close contact to the power lines, because that becomes an energized tree, and we don't want that to happen. So for any tree close to the power lines, I would always suggest hiring a qualified tree professional, or again, call us and report any down lines or electrical hazards to the right of way. And that number is 770-429-2100. A maintained right of way versus an unmaintained right of way. When vegetation is unmaintained, these are actually a couple of actual in the field pictures that I've took a couple of weeks ago. These trees are pretty much burning in the right of way, and that promotes unsafe work environment to our employees, more outages, and more equipment failure. These two photos here on the left were reported by flickering lights. So that's that more outage event. So overall, unmaintained right-of-ways are less reliable power to our members. With routine trimming, which is the exact same trees of the photo on the left, this is after they were trimmed. You can see it's a lot more clear of our equipment on that pole, and it promotes much safer for our employees, and a significant increase in reliability, and much more safe for you guys out there, doing yard work and stuff like that. If you're out there doing, cutting the grass or whatever, and you just want to take you a break real quick and get you a drink of water, and you lean up on the tree. Well, on the photo on the left, you could be electrocuted. A lot of people don't understand that. So that's a big deal. So overall, more reliable power to you guys, and a much safer environment for you guys. And safety tips to take with you during routine work. You stay clear of downlines again, as I addressed at the beginning. Never approach, move, or drive over downlines. Treat as energized and dangerous until utility personnel can confirm otherwise. Give crews room to work. Keep children, pets, and vehicles away from active work areas so forestry and line crews can have safe access. That's very important, to keep everything safe and clear for us to get in there and do our job as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Report hazards quickly. Use Cobb EMC reporting channels for outages. Ken did a really good job of covering that for you guys. So report line issues and urgent electrical concerns so that the right team can respond. Visit cobbemc.com to report hazards, or call 770-429-2100. And for that, I will hand you over to Josh Cash.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Josh Cash. I'm a safety training instructor here at Cobb EMC, and today we're going to talk about electrical safety inside your home. So first off, everyday fire risks. Why does electrical safety matter in the home? Everyday fire risks. Electrical fires cause tens of thousands of home fires. We want to make sure we're inspecting all of our stuff inside of our house. Common household hazards, overloaded outlets. That's a big common thing. You want to make sure you only have just a couple of things plugged into each outlet. Damaged cords, you want to make sure you're maintaining and inspecting all your extension cords. And misused appliances are leading causes of preventable accidents. You want to make sure your house wiring, older houses, they can't sustain the electronics and appliances and all the stuff we have now. Shock prevention. You know, all the houses now, they have your GFCIs, your ground fault interrupters and smart appliances, the placements, and all of that. You want to make sure you're maintaining all of that. So we're going to talk about some devices and how you should plug them in. Your space heaters, they're going to pull a lot of power. So you want to make sure you're plugging them directly into the wall outlet. Your microwaves, they're a lot as well, probably even more than the space heater. They want to go to a dedicated wall outlet. What I mean by dedicated wall outlet is that outlet is the only thing on that breaker. Your television, you want to plug that into a surge protected power strip. And we'll talk about the difference between surge protector power strips and regular power strips later. Your laptop charger and your phone chargers, they're not going to draw as much, so you can plug them into a regular power strip. Never daisy chain your power strips. That means plug one power strip into another power strip to have more outlets. And you want to make sure you plug all your high pulling appliances directly into the wall. You want to recognize and replace your damaged extension cords. First, you want to inspect and make sure you spot the damage before it becomes a problem. Any kind of frayed insulation, cracked jackets, any kind of exposed wires, bent prongs, and make sure if it's designed with that third prong, it has it as well. That is your ground. Know the causes of what causes the damage. Placing them under furniture could pinch them. Running cords beneath rugs, that causes a tripping hazard and could also yank the plug out of the wall, which could cause some hidden wear. You want to inspect and replace them. You want to at least monthly inspect your extension cords. And if any are damaged, you want to get them replaced. You want to use your cords safely. You treat your extension cords as temporary. You don't want to use them all the time in the same outlet for a long period of time. If we talked about space heaters can be very dangerous. You want to make sure you plug them into the wall directly into an outlet, never into a power strip, never into a surge protector. And you want to make sure that that's going to be the only thing plugged in. You want to give them space. You want to keep them at least 3 feet away from any kind of furniture, bedding, curtains, and clothing. If they tip over and they don't have the tip over sensor, that could cause a fire. You want to make sure you pick models that have those safety features, the overheat shut off and the tip over shut off, but don't rely on just that alone. And never leave them running. It is a manufacturer's recommendation on most all space heaters that if you leave them unattended, they must be turned off and unplugged. Now we'll give some examples of why your breaker keeps tripping. Breakers are going to be a built-in safeguard. So if they sense any kind of problem, they're going to trip. And why do they trip? That could be anything from damaged wiring, a failing appliance, overloaded circuit, anything like that could trip it. And you don't want to just keep resetting a breaker that keeps tripping. You want to make sure you contact somebody, an electrician, licensed electrician, to take a look. And you never want to take those outlets open or upsize it. That could just make the problem worse. You want to label your panel. Over time, that labeling could fade. You want to keep an eye on that and relabel it if needed to. And if you have any issues with your breakers keep tripping, then you want to get a licensed electrician. Surge protectors. When we talk about surge protectors versus power strips, surge protectors are actually going to be taking the surge of the over voltage. Power strip is just going to give you a couple more outlets to plug your stuff into. They don't add any kind of capacity to the breaker. It's still going to be the same. And they do wear out. Make sure you do change them out periodically. And then you do have the whole home option panel mounted surge protector that every circuit would be protected against any kind of over voltage. Reducing the risk of shock around water. All of your newer homes are going to be equipped with the GFCI breakers, outlets, anywhere where there's water present, your bathrooms, your kitchens, your basements, your garages, and outside. You want to mind your hands. You want to make sure you dry your hands before touching any device and keep appliances away from any kind of water. Use your outdoor rated GFCIs for your outdoor outlets, and make sure you unplug any devices before wiping any surfaces with water, cleaning supplies, anything like that. Just a simple home safety checklist. You want to walk through at least monthly. You want to catch any hazards before they become emergencies. You know, any kind of sparking, smoke smelling, any kind of burning smelling. You want to test your fire and your carbon monoxide alarms as well. You want to make sure that they work, and then change your batteries out. Most people say you change your batteries out every time the time changes. That keeps you on kind of a schedule to keep those batteries. And protect your children. You know, you want to make sure that you use the temper resistant outlet covers, and teach your kids electrical safety. Don't stick anything inside of outlets. Don't snatch on cords, anything like that. And you want to unplug any kind of idle appliance that's not being used, because some appliances do still draw a little power with them plugged in. Kind of talk about when you call a licensed electrician. You want to watch for the warnings, frequent trips of your breakers. If you reach down to plug something in and notice that outlet is hot, any kind of sparks or buzzing or any kind of burning spell, you need to call a licensed electrician. A lot of your older homes, they do not have the GFCIs or enough circuit capacity for the technology and the modern demand we have now. You don't want to do any kind of risky DIY. If you're not trained in any kind of electrical repairs, leave that to the professionals, because that could create any kind of hidden fire and shock hazards. And invest in safety. You know, have an electrician come and periodically inspect your electrical system at your house. Check your breaker panel, check the wiring, check the connections, and all that. Make sure everything is good. Some things will loosen up over time due to vibration. Some key takeaways for a safer home: awareness wins. You know, most electrical fires, they trace back to everyday habits. You know, they're not accidents. Respect the limits. You know, understand what each circuit in your house can carry. Make sure you're not overloading your circuits, your power strips, or your surge protectors. Do routine inspections throughout your house. You want to check all your cords, you know, check your fire and fire alarms, and then respond to any breaker trips promptly. If you have a breaker tripping regularly, you want to get an electrician out there. And then you want to layer your defenses. You know, upgrade your smoke alarms if they need to be upgraded. If you don't have any GFCI outlets, you know, look into upgrading those, and any kind of surge protecting that you can do throughout your home. So make your home safer starting tonight. You know, plug heaters into high watt appliances straight into the wall. Inspect any cords and test your GFCIs and alarms. Check them this month. And then call a licensed electrician for any trips, sparks, or burning smells. And you can learn more at cobbemc.com/safety.
Thank you so much, Josh, and thank you for all of our speakers. I want to be true to our time, so I am actually going to touch on two questions myself. We did have one question that had come in, and it was about, they were requesting if we could post our phone and texting number that we mentioned, where you can sign up for outage updates as well as report. So if you would like to sign up for them and you have not already, you can text 898-362. You can text registered to that number. And then we had a question about if we had a list of contractors that our members could reach out to if they were to need any electrical services after a storm scenario. And we do have one. You can find it at cobbemc.com/contractors. And this is a very long list, and not just electrical, but we've got HVAC, geothermal, solar, and quite a few other options you can look over. But these all have been vetted and approved contractors. So I do want to thank all of our speakers and all of you guys for joining us today. We will be sending out a follow-up email with some resources, as I mentioned, as well as a recording. The recording will be this full webinar, so you can go back and take a look at it. And we will also have a survey because we always do love to hear your feedback and think about what we can do for future events as well. Once again, we just want to thank you all for joining us tonight and thank you for being valued Cobb EMC members. We hope you have a great evening.